All right, let's dive into this. Liverpool FC. Talk about a club with a story, right?
Oh yeah, layers and layers.
So today we're going deep on how they became England's most successful club. Our main source here is this awesome YouTube video from Football Zone, how Liverpool became England's most successful club. Very dramatic.
Yeah, they went all out with that title, huh?
But honestly, it fits. I mean, think about it. They went from like relegation to dominating English football in just a few years.
It's wild, right? The story's got all the highs, the lows, the comebacks. It's like a movie script, honestly.
Okay, so set the stage for us. Where do we begin?
Well, Liverpool FC, they were founded back in 1892, had some early success, First league title in 1901, back-to-back wins in the 20s.
So they came out strong.
Yeah, definitely a force to be reckoned with. But then the mid-20th century hits and things they went downhill.
Downhill? How downhill are we talking?
Like 24 years without a trophy, an FA Cup final loss to Arsenal, and then the big one, relegation to the second division.
Oof, relegation. That's got to sting, right? Like a major blow to the ego.
Oh yeah, definitely a dark time for the club. But what's crazy is what happens next. They're rock bottom. 1959, they lose an FA Cup match, and get this, they lose to Worcester City.
They're Worcester City? Who are they?
Exactly. Non-league team. Total underdogs.
Wow.
That loss, though, is a wake-up call, Enter Bill Shankly.
Okay, Shankly. Legendary name. But what made him so special?
He was more than just a manager. He had this vision, this belief in the club's potential that was unwavering.
So he saw something others didn't.
Totally. And he knew that to rebuild, you got to tear down the old. He released 24 players. Can you imagine the guts that took?
24 players. Talk about a clean slate.
It was a statement. And then he creates this legendary space, the boot room.
The boot room. Sounds kind of basic.
It started as just a tiny room at Anfield, literally where they kept the boots. But Shankly, he turned it into this incredible think tank.
Oh, it's just...
Yeah, his whole coaching staff, they'd gather there. Hours on end, they'd hash out strategies, analyze opponents. It was like a football mastermind lab.
So this little room was the birthplace of Liverpool's comeback.
Think of it like their secret weapon. And it didn't just help Shankly, it spawned a whole coaching dynasty.
The dynasty.
Yep. Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan, Reuben Bennett. These guys learned from the best, and the results speak for themselves. Within 3 years, they're back in the first division. 2 years later, they win the league title.
That's an insane turnaround.
Shankly, he laid the foundation, right? But what's wild is, even after he retired, the success didn't stop.
Because of this boot room culture.
Exactly. 1974, Shankly retires. Bob Paisley, who was part of that boot room drain trust, steps in, and Paisley's era.
Oh, man.
It's the stuff of legend.
Paisley's the one with the, overloaded trophy cabinet.
We're talking 6 league titles, 3 European Cups, a first for a British manager, by the way. And get this, 20 trophies in just 9 years.
20 trophies in 9 years. Okay, the boot room clearly worked. But how did Paisley manage to top even Shankly?
He didn't just maintain success, he elevated it. He took Shankly's attacking style, but added this tactical flexibility that kept opponents on their toes. It wasn't just about outscoring, it was about control. And he had an eye for talent, brought in players who fit his system perfectly.
So evolution, not revolution.
Exactly. And the consistency, it's mind-blowing. 83, Paisley retires. Guess who takes over? Joe Fagan, another boot room graduate.
Keeping it in the family, huh?
Right. And Fagan, in his first year, they achieve a treble. The league title, the League Cup, and the European Cup.
A treble. These boot room guys were on a roll.
They beat Roma in that European Cup final. Becomes the most successful English team in European competition at that point.
That's huge.
It should have been pure celebration. But that final, it was overshadowed by something truly awful. The Heysel Stadium disaster.
Right, a dark day for football.
Confrontation between Liverpool and Juventus fans before the game. A wall collapses, 39 people lose their lives.
Exactly.
The fallout was massive. UEFA banned all English clubs from European competition for 5 years.
5 years. Wow, that shows how seriously they took it.
It was a turning point. Forced the football world to confront hooliganism, to rethink stadium safety.
A real wake-up call. And amidst all this, Fagan retires.
He'd already announced it before the final. So Liverpool's at a crossroads, right? Incredible legacy, but also dealing with the aftermath of Heysel. It was a heavy weight to carry.
So who steps up in this moment?
They turned to someone who understood the soul of the club. Kenny Dalglish.
Dalglish, the king, but he was a player, wasn't he?
Yep, becomes player manager in 1985. Imagine the pressure.
I can't even imagine. But hey, it's Kenny Dalglish.
And the fans had faith. With that European ban, Dalglish focuses on domestic dominance. And in his first season, League and FA Cup double.
The king delivered.
But sadly, there's another tragedy in Liverpool's story. The Hillsborough disaster, 1989.
Hillsborough. Another dark day.
An FA Cup semifinal, a crush in the stands, 97 lives lost. It devastated the club, the city, everyone.
And that season, they also lost the league title to Arsenal, right? In the most heartbreaking way possible.
Tied on points, goal difference, everything. Came down to goals scored. Arsenal scores in the final minute of the season. Snatches the title.
Wow. Just wow.
The emotional toll of Hillsborough, that crushing defeat. Dalglish resigns in 91.
Another era ends on a somber note. So what happens next? Does Liverpool find its footing again?
They bring in Graham Souness, another club legend, but it's not the same. The game's changing. Souness struggles to adapt.
It's hard to recapture past magic.
He wins the FA Cup, yeah, but 2 sixth-place finishes in the Premier League. He's out in 94.
So they were trying to cling to the past, but it wasn't working.
It was a tough transition. Then comes Roy Evans. He brings back some attacking flair, wins the League Cup, but still, no Premier League title.
Then so close, yet so far.
And that search for the missing piece leads them to Gerard Houllier in 98. He brings a new era, more disciplined, tactical, not always pretty, but it gets results.
Hollier's the one who brought up Michael Owen, right?
Spot on. He saw Owen's potential and built the team around him. And finally, in 2001, they break that trophy drought. A cup, treble FA Cup, League Cup, and the UEFA Cup.
Treble, finally. And Owen wins the Ballon d'Or that year, too.
It was a resurgence, right? Back on the European stage, winning trophies, a global superstar, but the Premier League title, it's still missing.
That elusive title. So close, yet so far. What happens next? Do they finally crack the code?
Well, that's where things get really, really interesting. 2004, Houlier's out, and another big name arrives at Anfield, Rafa Benitez. And with him, a whole new level of tactical genius and a night that will forever be etched in Liverpool's history. The Miracle of Istanbul.
Ooh, the Miracle of Istanbul. I'm already hooked, but I think we're going to have to save that story for part 2 of our deep dive. Okay, so we're back. Rafa Benitez, he takes over Liverpool in 2004. Tell me, what makes his era so different? So, I mean, you said it, miraculous.
Benitez, he was this mastermind tactician. Meticulous, obsessed with detail. He could really get the best out of his players. But the team he inherited, they were still struggling to find that winning formula, especially in the Premier League.
So, a tough challenge right out of the gate. But you mentioned the Miracle of Istanbul. Was that his first season?
It was. First season, finishes 5th in the league. Not amazing, right? But then he takes them all the way to the Champions League final. They're up against AC Milan, one of the best teams in Europe. And, well, let's just say it was a night no one will ever forget.
Okay, you got to give me the rundown. What makes this final so legendary?
Halftime. Liverpool are down 3-0. Mood in the stadium, not great. I mean, those teams would have just given up at that point.
Yeah, 3-0 against AC Milan, that's a mountain to climb.
But Benitez, he makes some changes, tactical adjustments, and then something unbelievable happens.
The comeback. They score 3 goals.
3 goals in 6 minutes. It was like lightning struck. The whole momentum shifts. Suddenly, it's anyone's game.
Yeah.
They go into extra time, still tied, and then they win on penalties.
I bet the fans went absolutely bonkers.
Pure pandemonium. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Liverpool was back on the European stage, and they were a force to be reckoned with. And that 5th Champions League title, it cemented their place as, like, the most successful English team in the competition.
5 Champions League titles, that's some elite company. But okay, back to the Premier League. Did Benitez finally bring home that elusive title?
Almost. 2008-09 season, they were neck and neck with Manchester United the whole way.
Talk about a nail-biter.
They ended up finishing 2nd, though. 4 points behind. Another near miss.
Ah, so close. But it shows they were in the mix, at least.
It was a turning point. Showed the rising dominance of other clubs, especially in the Premier League.
So European glory, but still that domestic title drought. What happened next for Benitez?
Ups and downs, really. He wins the FA Cup in 2006, gets them to the Champions League final again in 2007, but loses to, you guessed it, AC Milan. But by 2010, the team's struggling. They finish 7th in the league. Benitez leaves.
A bittersweet ending, it sounds like. Amazing tactical mind brought them European glory, but couldn't crack that Premier League code.
Yeah, tough one. But then things get really interesting. We're talking 2010 now. Liverpool's on the brink of bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy. That's insane for a club of their stature. How'd they get out of that?
New ownership swoops in. Fenway Sports Group, FSG. They saved the club. But manager-wise, still a lot of changes. Roy Hodgson comes in after Benitez, but it doesn't work out.
So new owners, but still that search for the right manager. Who do they turn to?
They bring back a familiar face.
Yeah.
A club legend, Kenny Dalglish. The king returns.
Dalglish back in the game. That must have been a huge moment for the fans. A sign of hope, maybe?
Oh, yeah, there's definitely optimism, but
Yeah.
football had changed. The Premier League was way more competitive, and Liverpool, they were still rebuilding.
So did Dalglish work his magic again?
He had some wins, League Cup in 2012, reached the FA Cup final. But the team wasn't consistent. They finished 8th, which wasn't good enough. Dalglish was let go in 2012.
Another tough break. It seemed like they were trying to recapture the past.
It's hard to let go sometimes. But FSG, they were committed. They needed a manager for the future, someone with vision, And they found that in Brendan Rodgers.
Rodgers, he was known for that attacking style. Lots of possession, right?
Exactly. Young talent, attractive football. He had an immediate impact.
So things were looking up.
Definitely. Scoring goals like crazy. But defensively, still a bit shaky. And then that 2013-14 season, they almost win the Premier League.
Ah, that season. I remember it well. The Gerrard slip.
It's haunting, Rika.
Great.
So close to ending that title drought. But that slip against Chelsea, a draw with Crystal Palace, they finished second, 2 points behind Manchester City.
So close. You can't help but feel for the fans, the players.
It was brutal. But they'd come a long way under Rodgers. There was a feeling they were on the right track.
But they couldn't quite get over that hurdle. What happened next? Did Rodgers build on that momentum?
Unfortunately, they kind of regressed the next season. Finished 6th, missed out on the Champions League, and then 2015-16 starts rough. Pressure's on, and it became clear they needed a change.
Another managerial casualty. So who steps in to replace Rodgers?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. They go for someone with charisma, someone who'd proven himself, a style of play that was exciting and effective. They bring in Jürgen Klopp.
Klopp. Heavy metal football. That's a game changer.
It was a whole new era for Liverpool.
Yeah.
October 2015, Klopp arrives. And that's when they really start their climb back to the top.
Okay, I'm hooked. What did Klopp do? What was his secret?
First thing, he brought belief. That winning mentality, that never-say-die attitude. It was contagious. He got the fans, the players, the whole city believing that Liverpool could be great again.
Belief's great, but you need more than that to win trophies. What else did he bring to the table?
His style. High intensity, relentless pressing. They called it gegenpressing. It took the Premier League by storm.
So heavy metal football, for real?
Absolutely. But he also knew what kind of players he needed for that system. And he wasn't afraid to make big moves in the transfer market.
Is this when he brings in Mo Salah, the Egyptian king?
Bingo. A lot of people doubted that signing. Salah had played for Chelsea before, and it hadn't gone well. But Klopp saw something special.
And he was right. Salah became a global superstar at Liverpool.
And he wasn't alone. Klopp brought in Sadio Mane, lightning-fast winger, and Roberto Firmino, this versatile forward, the three of them together, one of the most feared attacking trios in all of Europe.
The Fab Three, they were unstoppable. But what about the defense? Remember, they were a bit shaky under Rodgers.
That's where Klopp made another genius move. January 2018, he signs Virgil van Dijk, world record fee for a defender at the time.
Van Dijk, he was like a wall at the back.
Completely transformed the defense. Leadership, composure, strong in the air. Suddenly, Liverpool was a complete team, solid at the back, creative in the midfield, lethal up front.
So they had it all. But did it translate into trophies?
2018, Champions League final, they lose to Real Madrid. Controversial match, though. Salah gets injured early on after that clash with Sergio Ramos.
Oh, yeah, that incident. Still gets people talking.
It was a tough loss.
Yeah.
But even in defeat, it was clear Liverpool was back on the big stage.
So close, but not quite there yet. What happens the following season?
2018-19, a roller coaster. They battled it out with Manchester City for the Premier League title, finished with 97 points, lost only one game all season.
97 points and they still didn't win. That's crazy.
They finished 1 point behind City. It was devastating, but it fueled them. They came back even stronger the next year.
Okay, this is it, right? This is the season they finally end the drought.
2019-20, it all comes together. They were unstoppable. Premier League title, record-breaking style, 99 points. They clinched it with 7 games to spare.
30 years of waiting. The fans must have gone wild.
Pure euphoria. A moment that'll never be forgotten. And they'd already won the Champions League the year before.
They conquered England and Europe. What do you do after you've achieved everything?
They kept pushing. 2022, they win the League Cup and the FA Cup, get to another Champions League final, but no Premier League title. And then, January 2024, Klopp announces he's leaving at the end of the season.
End of an era, but what a run. He brought them back, got them that Premier League title, multiple Champions League finals. What a legacy.
Yeah, he left as a legend. But his departure, it left a big hole. Who could possibly replace Jürgen Klopp?
That's a tough one. Who did they go with? Another big name.
They decided on someone who kind of embodied Klopp's philosophy, attacking, high pressing,
Yeah.
someone to build on what Klopp had started. They brought in Arne Slot.
Arne Slot. Interesting choice. But I guess we'll have to wait for part 3 to hear all about him and the future of Liverpool FC.
Okay, final part of our Liverpool deep dive. We've been through a lot. The boot room, the miracle of Istanbul, Klopp's reign. It's amazing how much ground this club has covered.
Oh, yeah. Tons of ups and downs. All those managers, all those trophies. It's almost hard to keep track.
And through it all, they've stayed true to themselves. But I've been thinking, what is it about Liverpool FC that makes them so special? Like, why do they have such passionate fans all over the world?
It's a good question. It goes beyond the trophies, you know. Liverpool FC, they're woven into the fabric of the city.
Yeah, I get that.
It's a working-class club. It's resilience, a sense of community. You don't find that everywhere.
It's kind of like that boot room legacy we talked about. It wasn't just about tactics, right? It was about people coming together,
Yeah.
sharing a passion.
Exactly. And that goes beyond the pitch. They've always been involved in the community, charities, standing up for what they believe in.
They've faced some really tough times too, right?
Yeah.
Heysel, Hillsborough.
Yeah.
And they came out of those tragedies stronger, showing their commitment to justice and remembrance. That resonates with people.
And of course, the fans. Anfield with the Kop roaring. There's a feeling of unity there. Like everyone's in it together. It's pretty special.
It's all there in their anthem, You'll Never Walk Alone. It's more than a song. It's solidarity, a promise to be there for each other, no matter what.
Gives me chills just thinking about it. So it's clear Liverpool FC, they're more than a football club. They're a symbol.
Of community, resilience, hope. It's all part of their DNA.
And when you think about all they've achieved, it's even more impressive. 69 major trophies, 19 league titles, 8 FA Cups, 9 League Cups. I mean, the list goes on.
6 European Cups, 3 UEFA Cups.
Yeah.
They've done it all while staying true to who they are.
Yeah, exactly. It shows you can win with style, with passion, and you don't have to sacrifice your values to do it.
They've proven that.
So with Arne Slot now leading the way, it's a new chapter. What do you see in Liverpool's future?
It's exciting, that's for sure. Slot? He fits the Liverpool mold, attacking football, high pressing. He's known for developing young players, getting the best out of them.
So he seems like a good fit. But can he be as successful as Klopp? Can he keep that winning culture going while staying true to the club's values?
That's the big question, isn't it?
I guess only time will tell. But honestly, this whole deep dive has given me a new appreciation for Liverpool FC.
They're a fascinating club.
They've overcome so much, achieved incredible things, inspired people all over the world.
Their story's a reminder that anything's possible if you have passion, determination, and you believe in something bigger than yourself.
Well said. It's been an amazing journey through their history. We've seen how they've changed, adapted, and ultimately how they've triumphed.
And as they enter this new era, one thing's for sure, their story isn't over yet. The spirit of Liverpool FC, it's going to keep inspiring people for generations to come.
I'm excited to see what's next for them. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive, everyone. And remember, you'll never walk alone.